Now there's one more problem to solve, and it is that I can't go back to the other screen. Okay? So I could put a button that says back and then a seg back to the original screen, but that's too many segs. Instead, what I can do is imagine in my storyboard if all the segs that I went to are in a stack, and then I just go back the stack of segs back to my next with like a little thing that says back on top, just like any iOS application. Well, that thing, there's a view controller that actually controls the segs and puts them in a stack and adds the back button every time you need it. And that is called a navigation view controller. So we're going to add one of those. Navigation controller. Okay? I'm going to create space for this. I'm going to add it right here. Whoops, right here. It comes with a, so it basically creates two controllers. Let me move them down. This is a tricky thing to do. I'll move them down. Move them down. Oh, come on. Really? Okay. Yeah, at least don't move them away from the view. Okay, so let's focus on these two guys for now. Here's the navigation controller. This one will create the stack and the buttons that say back and forward and will allow me to navigate through segs. This is just an example of one view that could use that. So in all rigor, I really don't need this view, so I can just hit delete and it's gone. What I do need though is this is where the application starts. We're going to change that. It's now going to start on this view, on the navigation controller. That's where it's going to start. Okay, see, it starts on the navigation controller. And from the navigation controller, I'm going to control click, drag it to the view controller. And I will say it's a root view. The relationship between the segs, I'm going to say this is a root view. So what's happened is that as soon as this loads, this one loads underneath. Okay? So far, see how it added this? That's the space for the controller, okay, for controlling it. The other detail that we want to fix is that this seg here, okay, this seg, if I go to the attribute inspector, this seg is modal, meaning it will never go into a stack. If I want segs to go into a stack, they should be push. So if I want navigation to work, and I connect a navigation view controller like this to the view controller, my segs should be of type push. And then I just run it. Let's see what happens. So remember, the key thing here is that the navigation controller is the first thing that starts and calls the other one as root. So I type something, hello, I say next, and I say the string, I see the string hello and everything, and I see a back control here that I can click and go back to my seg. And if this one had a seg to another place, there's back and forward, so I can navigate between those things. Okay? The only other thing that I would mention is that in a seg, you can query the name of a seg. So for example, if there are many segs coming from this view controller out, so if you click next, or if you click, you know, some other button takes you someplace else, these segs, if you click on the seg, they have an identifier, which is a name. And you can do an if statement. If the seg's name is this or that, if the seg's identifier is this or that, then do X, Y, or Z. So you could play with that. That concludes our little videos on segs.